Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. Here's what we're going to be working on today. It looks really normal, doesn't it? A nice little pocket and a nice little journal card on our journal page, and we're going to pull it out. And oh, what might I have written in here? Oh, look, it slides open. Look at this. It's a sliding journal card with hidden journal space. I just think it's so intriguing, and it's just so unusual to find in a journal. It's interactive. It's one of those little elements of surprise that, you know, that just keeps drawing us back to our junk journal creation time and time again. We're going to set this aside and we're going to do it because it's super easy. And I really do mean that. You know, I'm not going to tell you anything that's going to be be really difficult. First, I want to give credit to where I first saw this. This, I believe, was on Instagram. An artist whose handle is Maria M. Art. But on her profile, it says her first name is Vanessa. So I'm going to refer to her as Vanessa. But please don't give me credit for this idea because it is not mine. Actually, the only place I've ever seen this one is on Vanessa's Instagram. So check her out because she does some really good stuff. And I've seen this technique on a couple of different projects on her channel. Or on her Insta. So anyway, let's thank Vanessa for her inspiration here. I've made a couple of these to practice, and I realized that they work best with a paper that is not really thick, but is thinner, or not really thick, but is thicker than like a regular copy paper. It works with copy paper. It works okay with some book pages. But I just settled on this piece of sketchbook paper. And then I have an even better solution that I'm going to tell you about in just a second. But let's go ahead and just use this sketchbook piece. And I want to make 2 panels. So I'm going to fold it about like this. And then I'm going to fold this little lip over. And there feels like there's a little bit of roughness there where I took it out of the book. So I'm going to cut that off because we want to not have a lot of rough edges touching on one another here. Well, that was a little stubborn, wasn't it? Come on, you little Dickens. There we go. So now I've got my little lip, and I'm just going to glue this down. I'm going to use my art glitter glue because it dries quickly. And I'm going to glue this whole thing down to form a tube. And that's going to dry in just a jiffy. So I'm not going to need this for a couple of minutes. There we go. Let me get some coffee. It's early morning here. Dan and I have a busy day ahead. We're going to have our little grandson starting around 10 or so. Just cut a little bit of that excess lip off there. Okay, now I'm going to cut this in half like this. You could use a trimmer, you could use scissors, but I'm just going to fold it in half and cut along that fold because I want 2 identical pieces to form that special. Okay, these are going to be the pieces of our sliding journal card. The other thing that I have done is I have taken an old manila file folder and I've cut it into strips because I'm going to make several of these, and even after I'm off camera, I like this so much that I think I'm going to make some more. But this is a nice thickness, this manila folder, and I've just cut them into 1/2-inch pieces, and I did a couple 3/4-inch pieces, that just because I might want to do a different size. But these are going to enable the inner workings, the inner machinery of our sliding journal card. I want to make certain that my pieces, whatever size I choose for my journal card, that the height of it is less than half of my manila folder piece. And yeah, this is gonna work. If you want to make one that's taller, you just take a couple of your manila folder pieces and you can just glue them together. It works perfectly well that way, and I've made a couple like that, but this is gonna work for now. Okay, so I'm gonna take this piece, and let me think, yeah, this is how, yeah. So now I've got this open tube here, and I'm gonna take one of my manila folder strips. I'm gonna thread it through there. And I'm going to take it down almost to the bottom here. I have it about flush with the bottom of the paper, but it can be backed up a little bit because we're going to be doing some overlapping. Okay, now I'm going to take the other piece, and I'm going to put the side with the join, which I'm going to consider the back side. That's going to be facing up, and let's thread that similarly through these two pieces. And make certain that I'm lined up. So I have this center, this manila folder strip is anchoring both of these. I'm going to now take this one and fold it down, just like that. And I'm going to flip it over, and I'm basically going to tuck this little leftover piece into the piece on top. Now it looks like I didn't get these completely the same length, but I think I'm going to be okay with that. So I'm going to put my fold in that little piece that's sticking up. And I'm going to get out my art glitter glue, and I'm going to open up this tube a little bit. I'm going to come in with my left hand, kind of use my fingers to open that up. And it's going to be a little hard for you to see, but I'm going to put just a little bit of art glitter glue in there, a little messy dab, but I'm going to try not to get it on the envelope itself, and I'm going to fold that up. I think you can pretty much figure out what I've just done. I've created I've just joined my manila folder piece together, and I want to, because in this case I think I got some of the glue on the envelope piece. I want to move that right away so it doesn't glue in place. There we go. Okay, here we go. This can slide together again, and it can slide out the other way as well. If I move, I think I'm gonna mostly do it this way, because it could move more easily one way than the other way. This white is kind of blinding, I know. We're gonna be decorating this up. But before I decorate this one, I wanna get to a method that is even easier that I think you're really gonna like. I'm gonna set this aside because this is gonna become, you know, a really easy, nice to have piece for a junk journal. But I was thinking I love how you can make these any size. You know, you could make them square, you could make them tall and skinny. You can really manipulate the size. But what if you wanted to use, instead of that sketchbook paper, what if you wanted to use just envelopes? And I thought, you know, envelope paper is generally pretty sturdy. I looked at using some junk mail envelopes, but I didn't have a whole lot that were, you know, the same size. So I would, if you wanted to go the envelope route, I would, you know, get into your regular household utility blank envelopes and get a couple, or we're going to talk about how you can add more little pages to this as well. But you can use these, just trim a little bit off the top and the bottom, and then you have a tube just like we made with that sketchbook paper. I decided I wanted to make something a little bit smaller. I had an abundance of these smaller envelopes, like they're the size that you would put in a thank you note. And I thought, you know, I do make thank you notes that I use for this size, but I had really a lot of these, so I thought I could sacrifice a few and do this method. So I'm going to glue these shut. I could lick them, but I don't know how old these are. And if we've all seen that Seinfeld episode where where something really terrible happens from somebody licking envelopes, I don't really believe that. That was played for comedic effect, dark comedic effect for sure. But yes, I do not believe that you can actually have a terrible medical reaction to licking an envelope. But nonetheless, I didn't want to be licking as I was filming a video here with you. So, all right, these are glued shut. Now we're just going to get out our straight edge and just cut tiny little top and bottom. Off of this envelope. And these are, be great if they were coffee dyed. I didn't have any handy that were coffee dyed. So there's, and this is making just a nice little tube. We're going to do that. Yeah, let's go ahead and do 3. Because that makes it really dramatic. The house is still nice and quiet. We get our little grandson about 10. Our son-in-law is going on a business trip, and our daughter, who's a midwife, is working at her clinic today. So we have the little boy. He's having a social meetup with his fellow second graders today at a little children's science museum here in Portland. And so we're excited to take him to that. All right, there we've got our 3 tubes. And we're going to start just like we did with the last one. This is going to be our cover. And I'm going to thread this down to about the bottom, but back it off just a little bit. And the back side facing up. And let's thread that through. Now this is a little bit of a longer excess than we need, so I'm going to snip off that little bit. And here's where the action happens. Just fold this down on top. And that, I don't know that you can see it, but that little manila envelope strip is right there jumping between the two different envelopes. I'm going to open this up. Oh, I need to put that fold in first. Vanessa seems to do this in a much more adept way than I am doing, but I think you're getting the idea. And put a little bit of glue in there. And I'm going to hold this down with my fingers on my left hand and just press that little excess piece down there. How's that doing in there? Is that lined up? Yeah, you do want it to line up pretty straight, because if your join, you know, ends up kind of catawampus, like if your join was, you know, like this a little bit, your sliding action isn't going to happen as smoothly as you would like. There we go. There's our little slider. Not the kind of, like, you kind of have to fiddle with a little bit to realize which one you want to go up and down, because it'll slide one way more easily than the other. And sometimes it needs a little bit of coaxing. But I just think these are so cute. How about if we added another one? I practiced with this a little bit the other day. Now let me see if I can remember how to do it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it like this. And I can't really remember which one ends up on the top, so I'm just going to do a bunch of them blank, and we'll do our decorating later. So here's another strip that is going to come through here. And here's this one that's going to go upside down. And just thread onto that. I hope you could see where that came together. I take up a little more real estate with my craft space here, and I'm not really certain how much gets on camera, but I think you ought to be able to see that. Snip off that little extra bit there. And yeah, I just snipped off that extra. And now here we get these kind of lined up. I want to make certain that they are pretty straight, because I want my fold to be straight, because that's going to enable some smooth sliding. We want it to be a smooth operator. There we go. Fold that down. And now we want to make certain that it goes into, that it attaches through the envelope that it is right next to. Fold that. Sorry, I don't have contrasting colors here. I hope you can kind of see where that's going to go. Come in with my left hand and hold that space open a little bit. Sorry, I know this is hard to see. It's hard for me to see, and I'm sitting right here. Maybe my thumb will help there a little bit. It's tucking inside. There. That's the only part that's tricky about this, is getting that gluing there. And you don't want it too tight. I don't have any words of wisdom with this other than just to keep playing with it. And here we go. Here's our three-fer. We had a two-fer, and now we have a three-fer. go. I think these are so cute. Let's decorate one up. And then I have another one that I made that I want to show you a slightly different treatment. What shall we put on here? I set aside a few collage items out of my box. I think I want this one nice and colorful. And so I pulled out one of my gesso, or my gel plate printed pieces. This is an envelope also. I think I'm gonna, that yellow is pretty bright. That might blast you out a little bit too much. Let me start with the book page background, and then we'll add our brights to it. There we go. My one Italian book that I just love. One day I'll use the whole thing up and then I will be sad, but maybe I'll just have to go back to Rome then. That would also be okay. I know you can get different language books online, but it was really fun to get this one in person in Rome. It's been 1.5 years ago now. A lot has happened since then, hasn't it? All right. Oh, this is a thicker paper. I think I'm going to use my art glitter glue instead of my glue stick here. And we'll get this background done as I collage. Yeah, so yesterday here in Portland, I actually did a craft bazaar. I participated in a craft bazaar. It was really fun. It had been quite a long time since I had done anything like that. I did a very small neighborhood craft show last Christmas time. It was sort of one that some neighbors had gotten up at, sort of at the last minute, so it was a small show. This is one that they have at a local community center every year, and I just decided to do it, and I made a lot of cards. It was sort of a card making thing for me. But I also took some journals because I didn't really know if people would be interested in junk journals at this particular show. But it turns out they were. So I had a really good time. I might even do it again next year. And it was just fun being out and talking to people too. I want this, I'm gonna tear off this little white edge. This was a gel print that I did as part of a fun craft supply swap that I did with the dear Julie Torrens a couple of months ago, and I got to get out that gel plate and do it again. Tell me if you have any interest in watching any of my gel plating. I'd be happy to do that on camera if it's something that you would like. I'm certainly not an expert at it yet, but I've been having fun trying it, and maybe we could do some learning together. If you'd like to see how to make some of those interesting background papers. I have another video I'm going to be doing in a couple of days about background papers too, so that's another one I'm practicing on. Well, here it is. The old current catalog. It's doing yeoman's duty for us these days, isn't it? Has a nice glue surface. Not really certain why I chose to have this great big piece here, but that's just kind of how it came torn off off the envelope. I have a few pieces here that I fussy cut out of an old Daphne's Diary. You know, their illustrations are just so beautiful in Daphne's Diary. I have never subscribed. It's so expensive. But I found one at the thrift store, and boy, I snapped that one up in a heartbeat. And it had a fair amount of things taken out of it already, but there was enough for me to fussy cut to make it worth my while. Those apricots might be nice. What about this little... Oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. That's like a little collage in and of itself. I think I'm just going to use this. I did ink around it when I was fussy cutting last night. I was tired when I got home from the craft bazaar, but I sat and fussy cut because I just was I needed to wind down a little bit. Yeah, it was really fun talking to people and the other vendors. And whoops, Anne, way to tear your collage piece there. But guess what? It's going to fit right back together even though I tore it. And maybe we'll put a little, how about we put a little butterfly there. I'd like to do that. Yeah, I had really had fun looking through that Daphne's Diary. I grabbed it so quickly when I saw it at the thrift store. There wasn't, in fairness, there was not anybody else like, you know, also being predatory about it. So I didn't have to elbow anybody out of the way. But I'm keeping an eye out to see if more appear, because it was nice to get even a partially harvested Daphne's Diary for 25 cents. So, what else do we want to put anything else here? I have these little sketchy apricots. No, I'm just sort of liking that the way it is. I might put a little washi tape. I have not a great washi tape collection, but sometimes I forget to use even that which I have, and I might as well use it. And maybe I'll put another little piece up here for some balance. There, that just adds a little bit of visual interest. And then I want to put a pull on it. I have a little scrap of lace. I think that might do fine. Let me see if I can staple that into place without making hash of it. When I staple my pulls into place, especially if it's something like lace, I like to anchor them with glue before I get in there and staple. And get it right on the edge there. Oh, this is so cute. Again, with great thanks to Daphne's Diary for for those cute, because honestly, I could have put any one of these things on there and it would have been cute. Oh, this isn't Daphne's Diary, I guess. This was out of something else. But, you know, and how nice to know these are just cut out of a magazine. And now let me just kind of staple this in place. And that will work nicely. So here's our little sliding journal card. And this is a 3. I have to work with this a little bit to make certain it'll slide. I had my fingers, there we go. I had my fingers pinching that manila folder strip. All right, now this is a little dull, isn't it? I'm not going to do collaging because I don't want to catch the collage elements on that fine inner machinery. It's just like a Swiss watchmaker. It's so precise. Obviously, you can clearly see it is not precise, but it gets the job done. There we go. That helps a little bit. And what if I did a little bit of blending? I've got a green. Let me mask that off just a little bit. Put green in that corner. That looks pretty. And then maybe I'll put a little green up in this corner. I could do a little stamping, a little stenciling, but whatever I do, I want to make certain that it's nice and flat. What fun little secrets could you write? I love secret journaling spaces. Again, not that I have secrets. Not a terribly interesting life here, but what little treasures could you journal about? And how nice would this be to be in a junk journal pocket that you're just leafing through? You pull that out and say, oh, what's this? It's so much more than it appears at first. And I'm not doing a good job of demonstrating that, but it actually does work. And with the ones that I did the other day, as you know, it worked it a little bit more, and it kind of it got used to itself. I want to show you one other thing you can do with these. Here's the one that I showed you at the beginning, and this was out of the folded paper. This is the one out of envelopes. Here is another one that I did out of some taller envelopes. I did this yesterday, and once again, I'm pinching on there we go. Another one that I did to practice. And here is one. I have some of these little tiny envelopes. I had a whole stack of them that a neighbor was getting rid of some time ago and put out on our neighborhood Buy Nothing Facebook group, which is just such a great way to get other people's paper cast-offs. And she had a whole bag of these. I think they were like maybe left over from a wedding invitation, something. She was glad to get rid of them. And I have a whole stack of them. So I used some of them to make another one of these little sliders. And I put a bunch of them together, but I actually glued a cover over them. And look at all of that. And all I did is I made a stack of 4 and put the sliders in. And then I just had a little piece of cardstock that I covered with paper. I scored just a tiny little 1/4-inch spine there and then glued the whole mechanism. Like, you know, this back thing, I glued that down here. So it's not, the sliding part isn't removable. But I just made it into a little booklet. And I thought that was fun as well. Yeah, it takes just a little fiddling to get it back together. But anyway, there is our sliding journal card. And I hope you have fun with it. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.